Have you figured out your niche? Are you helping adding value to other people's lives? Then you're in the right place. Welcome to Munira's Musings with your host, Munira Zahabi.
Greetings from Chicagoland. This is Munira, your niche navigator, coming to you live with another episode of a wonderful guest. This man has really intrigued me and has allowed me to receive, because that's one thing that I wasn't doing. So I'm very, very pleased to come back to the new year with season 4 of Munira's Musings, with a very good guest with accolades. And I don't know how else to say it, but Bob Burg, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you. It's such a delight to be with you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And, this is a wonderful day, a wonderful time, because we are now finished 1 year of COVID and we are now walking into the second year. We don't know what's going to happen now that the Pfizer vaccine is out. However, very many people have influenced a lot of others. And this year, many people are looking forward to seeing the new year as being the year for them. And why not start with the Gogiver series? So, Bob, thank you so much, Mr. Burg, I should say.
Bob is fine. Thank you, though. That's very kind of you.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
A little bit about myself. Well, for the last 30 or so years, I've been speaking all over and writing and so forth. And I began as a broadcaster, first in radio and then television. And then I like to say I graduated into sales, and I learned about selling and personal development, and it became something that I reached a level of success in. And then I began teaching to others, and eventually realized I could actually make a business out of speaking, out of writing, out of sharing information that would hopefully add value to people's lives. And so it's been a lot of fun. Like anything else, there have been a lot of challenges, and there's been ups and downs and everything else, but lots of mistakes, and hopefully learning from a lot of those mistakes. So, like anything else.
So why selling?
Well, sales is that question is a great question, and it could be answered on a number of levels. First, I believe that sales is really what helps the world advance, because the fact is, as human beings, we are less likely to change unless someone helps us to change. Okay, so if you look at every great invention, those inventions never sold themselves. They had to be sold to others.
Okay.
Because the status quo is where most of us are, and most of us choose to stay. This goes back, tens of millions of years, right? This goes back to the days where every day was survival, right? It was try. So our minds, our brains were developed to help us survive, and taking chances wasn't a good means of survival. We had to understand exactly our world.
I love that, because, as the niche navigator, I see so many people afraid to take chances. What would you say to them?
That's our minds, our brains develop that way. Whereas, back in the cave person days, that actually served us and helped us to generate more generations of human beings. But nowadays, we don't have those same life and death situations on a daily basis. So the fear of new things doesn't necessarily serve us. Sometimes it does, but not usually. Okay. And that's why new ideas generally have to be sold to others. What is selling? Well, by definition, selling is simply discovering what that other person wants, needs, or desires, and helping them to get it. And that's fine when you have a certain product or service and that person has an idea that they may like it or not. But what about when you have a product or service that person doesn't even know they need or know they want? Remember, before Steve Jobs, did such a wonderful job of bringing the iPod, and then an iPad, and all the things into people didn't know they needed it. It had to be sold. Okay.
Oh,
We have a saying here in the States that, and I don't know if this is a saying anywhere else in the world or not, because sometimes I'm not sure. Sometimes there's sayings in one country and the other country doesn't have it, and other times there are sayings that are worldwide. But we have a saying, when something is wonderful, we say it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, because there was a time when bread did not come pre-sliced.
okay.
Okay. People had to either, tear it off, or at the dinner table, they had to slice it with whatever. Now, back and this story was told in one of the books by Seth Godin, and I can't remember the name of the book. I apologize, but he told the story about how a man by the name of Friedrich von Wetter developed this machine that pre-sliced bread. Okay. The bread came pre-sliced. So you would think, well, of course, everybody would want that. Who wouldn't want that? It did not sell. Not for about 30 years, until a company named Wonder Bread, right, bought the rights to it and used it to pre-slice their bread. Now, you wouldn't think, by and large, you wouldn't think of going to a grocery store, getting a loaf of bread and not having it pre-sliced, right? But until it was sold to the public, people didn't accept it. And that's the same with pretty much everything. So selling is very important. It's the way things get done.
Awesome. I love that point, because in every business, you have to sell the services, but people don't buy the services, they buy you, right?
They buy you first. Exactly.
All right. So a few months ago, I'm not even sure who, but they said, you should read this book. And I was given the title, Go Read The Gogiver by Bob Burg.
Oh.
And I read it in 2 hours. And I was like hooked on it. And then I found out that there were many in the series, and there's Influencer and the Selling, and the last one, the purple one, I don't remember.
Yeah, the Gogiver Influencer. Mm-hmm.
So I am intrigued by the message of the book. So if you can share a little bit about that and tell us why you wrote that book.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. And by the way, I got the name wrong of the person who invented sliced bread. It was actually Otto Frederick Rowetter, and who invented the sliced bread machine. So I named him wrong. So I apologize for that. I wanted to make sure to give proper credit, where it was.
Thank you.
So yeah, the Go-Giver, which I co-authored with a man by the name of John David Mann. And John is really the lead writer and storyteller, because the books, but 3 of the 4 books are parables, so there's stories. And he's a brilliant writer. And so I was really privileged to have the opportunity to co-author these with him. And the way it really began was, I had a book out years ago for salespeople and entrepreneurs called Endless Referrals, and the subtitle was Network Your Everyday Contacts into Sales. So it was for salespeople and entrepreneurs who they knew they had a great product or service, they knew it brought wonderful value to people, but they didn't necessarily feel comfortable with the process of going out there and creating and cultivating the relationships. As you were saying earlier, people buy you first, right? And they weren't comfortable with that. And so the book was really a how-to guide of how to go out and meet people in a way in which you could have confidence, and it was very low key, and in a way that you were comfortable and the prospective customer was comfortable, and how to take that relationship to the point that they know you, they like you, they trust you, they want to be a part of your life, your business, they want to refer you to others. And that was my biggest selling book at the time for many years. But I'd always thought, wouldn't it be great if we could take that basic idea that, all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to those people they know, like, and trust, and put it into a story form, into a parable. Because I'd always read parables and they were always such nice, in a story, because I think stories connect on a deeper level than a how-to book. And if we could do that in such a way that we could make the point and really give some inspiration and provide some hope to people who just, didn't feel comfortable with the process, and this would get them started on that journey. And so I asked John if he would co-author it with me, because I knew John from some other projects we did. And he said yes, fortunately. And so that's really how we put that together. The interesting thing is, over the course of a year, we were rejected by about, I think, 25 different publishers, until finally we found the greatest publishing partner we could have, which was Portfolio, a division of Penguin Random House.
So this idea was brewing in your head, and you wrote it in a story form. Now, I'm going to be very Disney. I'm just stuck on the first one. I haven't gone to. I have all
that's okay.
4 of them, but I'm stuck on the first one.
Thank you.
So, who is Pindar? I mean, is that you?
No, we modeled Pindar after and you model loosely after people inspire you in certain ways. And we modeled Pindar loosely on a man by the name of Bob Proctor from Toronto, Ontario. And Bob is a wonderful guy. He is one of the real, when it comes to abundance and prosperity and kindness, and we pictured Pindar looking like him and having that same kind of deep, gravelly voice that Bob Proctor has. So we modeled Pindar off of Bob Proctor.
That's awesome. So you said something. You said people like to, they need to do.
All things being equal. Yeah,
yes.
All things being equal, or even close to equal, because they're not always equal, but even close enough to equal, people will do business with and refer business to those people they know, like, and trust.
True. So why is it that, like, I knocked on your door and you answered immediately, like Pindar did, but why is it, I'm kind of also alluding to the fact that my listeners are going to go find this book and read it, because like they want to know who Pindar is now. But also you did that, and I've knocked on several other coaches out there and asked them to be on my show, and I have had crickets.
Oh,
so
I'm sorry to hear that.
Difference?
Well, I mean, it's just, it's the story of life, okay? And we know that part of doing anything is that we get a lot more no's than we get yeses.
True.
Right? And so, it's when we were writing our book, how many people did we ask to do blurbs, testimonials? Well, most said no, but for different reasons. Whatever it was, they were too busy, didn't have the interest in doing it, or whatever it was. But you just keep asking until you get the yeses. Now you build a certain amount of yeses, and what happens is you start getting momentum, right? And all of a sudden the yeses go, more and more and more. A great friend of mine, her name is Andrea Waltz. She and her husband, Richard Fenton, wrote a wonderful book, also a parable, that's called Go for No. And their premise is, yes is the destination, no is how you get there. And they totally reframe the word no. So it's not that you have to like the word no. No's not a good word to who likes it, but it's part of it, right? And when we can look at it in a way that empowers us and look at it in a way that serves, now we can say, okay, that was a no. I don't have to like it, but it's part of it. I'm going to deal with it. Now I'm going to keep trying to get as many no's, because the more no's I get, the more yeses I'm going to get. And we look at it that way, and it's different. Now, why do some people not be on the show? Well, I don't know. Different people have their different reasons, their different business models, their different, whatever. I don't know. There's people I've asked to be on my podcast who said no to me. So, it just, that's part of life.
Awesome. Thank you. You said one thing. You said selling, that you have to get no's, and selling is scary for a lot of people. Has that, in your 30 years in and out of this profession, as different as you wear different hats, has that changed the art of selling? Has that changed from 30 years ago to now?
I think the principles involved in successful selling have not changed. Okay. I think there are different strategies that have certainly changed. Certainly with the internet, that's changed the game in many ways. But the principles of selling, okay, that you're there to serve the other person, that the person who can serve best and can serve the most people is going to earn the most income. Okay. But obviously there are many changes in the way that consumers are able to get information, are able to exchange information with others, all the different things. So while the strategies, some of the strategies have certainly changed, some of the techniques, some of the tactics, if you will, have changed, I think the principles have pretty much stayed the same.
Awesome. What made you write 3 other books after the Go-Giver?
Well, the first one after the Go-Giver is the only one that's not a parable, by the way. That's Go-Givers Sell More. That's more an application guide for the Go-Giver. And the reason we wrote that is, well, first, when the Go-Giver became very successful, our publisher asked if we wanted to write any others. So I think it was a business decision on that end. And so when John and I were discussing, what do we want to write, first as a follow-up to the Go-Giver, instead of the parables, which we'd write later, our first thought was, well, so many people have written to us regarding how they've used the original book, The Go-Giver, in order to dramatically increase their business, have a business that's a lot more fun, a lot less stressful, a lot more profitable, and they shared their stories. We thought, wouldn't it be great if we could take a book and kind of go deeper into the laws, okay? And then along with going deeper into the laws, actually share the success stories that we've been getting back. Plus, we also talked about people who were successfully using these principles long before the book was ever written. There's nothing that none of the principles that John and I shared in the Go-Giver are new, right? I mean, we know that the universal laws are universal laws. So there were people who were, who would write to us and say, this is how, after they read the original book, they'd say, this is how I built my business doing this.
Awesome.
So the first book with the book Go-Givers Sell More, the application guide for the Go-Giver, that was basically, if you will, a how-to and so forth. And then, with the success of that one, we were asked, if we had any more parables we'd like to write. And that's where the next one, the Go-Giver Leader, was basically the answer to the question, how do the laws from the Go-Giver translate into leadership? And then the last one, the Go-Giver Influencer, is, well, how do they translate exactly into influence, which in this case, we're talking influence more in terms of people skills.
Awesome. What last words of advice would you give my audience?
I think it's really an understanding of focus. And here's what I mean. The basic premise of the Go-Giver, okay, is simply that shifting your focus from getting to giving. Now, when we say giving in this context, we simply mean constantly and consistently providing immense value to others, understanding that doing so is not only a more pleasant way of conducting business, it's the most financially profitable way as well. And not for some, woo-woo kind of magical, mystical reasons. It's actually very logical when you think about it. When you're that person, that all too rare person who can move from a focus on yourself to a focus on others, helping solve their problems, helping them bring them success, helping to get them more of what they want, people feel good about you. People want to get to know you. They like you. They trust you. They want to be a part of your life, a part of your business. They want to be your, what we call, personal walking ambassador. So that would really be, that lesson. Look at how there's nothing, when we say shift your focus from yourself to others, there's nothing self-sacrificial about that. No, it's the best way to do business, because remember, no one's buying from you because you need the money. They're buying from you because they believe they'll be better off by doing so than by not doing so. How do you best communicate that? By making it about them.
So that's a wonderful point. So I'm going to ask you one more last question. Sorry.
Sure, go ahead.
It's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
I'm very, very excited. But many people out there who are in the knowledge sharing industry will always hold back because they don't want to give all of their information thinking somebody's going to run with it. How do you help those people? I
That
know
they
it's
think,
scarcity minded.
and I'm sorry, that they think someone will what?
They'll run away with the knowledge they have. Or,
Okay, so
it's
that,
like,
well,
this is my business. Why should I just give it away? I need to make money.
right. Oh, and well, but that's a very legitimate point. Okay. You should be making money with the business. I think the confusion happens when people say, well, but if I, give too much, if I create too much content, people won't feel the need to buy from me because I've already given them everything. But, it's really difficult to give them so much that they don't need you. It tends to be more that, the more good, solid quality information you give them, the more they know that to really be able to take advantage of that, they need your guidance.
I see.
Yeah. And so, does it happen with everybody? No, of course not. But that's generally a rule that, that the people who excuse me, that the people who really want to take it to that next level, they're the ones who say, wow, she really knows her stuff. I need more of this. I need to work with her. I need to have her help me to apply this. Now the people who the people who weren't ever going to work with you, they're not going to be turned off because of all the information. They're just the people who weren't going to work with you anyway. Okay. The serious ones, the more information, good information you're able to give them, then the chances are even better they're going to want to work with you. But no, it doesn't mean you give away all your stuff for free but there's so much more that you have.
That's the thing. It's like you need to figure out your gold mine, right? How much do you have and how much do you give away? But I would say give away the fairy dust. Much as I want to continue this, I have to be cognizant of time and the fact that you are a very busy person.
Well,
so
we all are. So are you.
I am, but I like this. This is what I live for because my interviews light me up. So thank you so much. And like I said, every good thing comes to an end. But what I'm going to ask you is, Bob has a website where he gives away one chapter of his book for free. And I will put that in the comments. And I want you all to go read this book. If you take nothing from it, just read it like a story because it helps a lot. And it's allowed me to change a little bit of my perspective because at one point I was thinking I shouldn't be giving away a lot of things. But now I do because I don't give them the whole hand, but I give them enough
right.
so if they want to come back to work with me. And I am just amazed at how much giving, how much, the biblical thing, it is in giving that we receive.
That's right. We just need to allow ourselves to receive, which is why we have the fifth law, which is the law of receptivity.
Exactly. And that's the other thing that I wasn't accepting. But now if people tell me something, I accept willingly and I take because it's mine. And so wonderful. Thank you so much, Mr. Burg. I appreciate it. And sorry, Bob. And the fact that, I've read your books, I'm very, very lit up. And I'm hoping that everybody who reads these books are going to take this new year and kick it off into gear with the 5 laws because they're just amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me on your show. I wish you a very happy, abundant, stratospherically successful 2021.
Thank you. And everybody else, if you like, share, and subscribe to our channel, go ahead and do that because we'll bring another guest next week with a new perspective that's going to help you navigate to your niche. Thank you and have a wonderful week.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Munira's Musings with your host, Munira Zahabi. If you enjoyed our show, please share and subscribe to this channel. And for more content, please join our Facebook group.